r/askreddit, what's the weirdest thing you've done as a result of social anxiety? Talking to my boss after a long day of exams and assignments. I go to leave, and she catches the door before I can leave to say goodbye. For some reason my wired brain made me give her Finjergens and say zoop as I walked away. Thought about it the whole way home. My girlfriend was a server at a restaurant called Bonafish, and she was supposed to ask, have you ever dined at Bonafish? But instead she asked, have you ever boned at dinner fish? She was mortified, but her customers thought it was hilarious. Walked past my classroom, but didn't wanna look stupid doing a freshman 180, so I circled all the way around the building, missed it again, and walked to some random restroom nearby, and sat in the restroom for like 5 minutes, because I didn't want people to recognize me as a dude who keeps doing laps around the chemical lab building. I was at a Chipotle. The girl asked me how my day had been. I said large please, because I got confused and thought she was asking what size I wanted. Then she asked if I wanted white rice or the other rice they had, and I said yes. I farted right in front of my boss and I started snapping my fingers in an attempt to make it look like it was not allowed as fart. Tried to remind myself what date it is while at the bar counter. Got my beer. She said thank you. I said 16th. That happened to me while counting money at work. Customer, hello. Me, not 11. I'm a retail cashier. A woman was buying a dress and humorously stated that she might be too fat for it. Me, never one to disagree with the customer, smiled and said, yup, I burned a few calories hitting my head on the counter after that exchange. The other day at my small office I went to the bathroom to fix my shirt which I had worn inside out. When I went into the stall the bathroom was empty. As I flipped my shirt around someone walked into the stall next to me. I also used some toilet paper to wipe my nose, slight cold, and dropped the paper in the bowl. This triggered the auto flush sensor and it flushed. My predicament began when I realized I also had to pee, but since I had already used TP and flushed my twisted mind decided this would seem really weird to the person next door. Why would someone use the bathroom, flush, and then stand up and pee again? Said no one ever, but I couldn't. They might recognize my shoes and know who I was. So instead I hatched a clever deception. I left the stall and washed my hands to seem normal, despite that I hadn't even used THS bathroom. After drying I walked loudly to the exit and opened the door into the hall. Then I said oh excuse me, like I had accidentally bumped into someone else coming in, and walked right back in. I made sure to change the sound of my footsteps walking more quietly, so that stallman would think I was a different person, and not some freak playing bathroom charades. Then I went to the urinal and peed, and then washed my hands again, using the farthest sink, so he couldn't spot my shoes. I'm from Ireland, a Catholic enough country. I deliver pizzas, and one night a woman said God be with you as I was walking away, and I stumbled over my words, and said peace be upon you like the freaking pizza pope. Cringed pretty hard walking away as she just looked at me. Edit, toppings be upon you my children. Mixed up thank you very much, and thank you ma'am, and said thank you mom to a bank teller. This reminds me of one of mine. Boyfriend, Jess, this is my mom. Mom, hi Jess. Me, hi mom. A part of me died that day. My parents always bring up the time when I was 4 and we were at this Mexican restaurant. Apparently they started singing happy birthday to me, to which I smiled, but then got nervous and promptly, confidently, leaned over and bit my dad on the arm. Asked a worker in the mall for assistance the other day. She looked at me really weird and said she didn't work there. I internally freaked out. I said I know and asked if she could still help. She agreed and turned around to walk in the direction I needed help, facing away from me, and I immediately power walked out of there. I have gotten out of my car, walked up to the house of the party, then walked back to my car, then walked back up to the house, then back to my car until I finally texted my friend at the party, asking him to come get me outside, so I wouldn't have to walk in front of the crowd alone. Driving to a party, sat outside of it in my car the entire time, left. Next day, said I was there. I went into a store I used to work at expecting to see my coworkers, so I could greet them. A lady was there, but I had no idea who she was. She asked me if she could help, and I stuttered a no. Then I stood and kind of tapped my feet around like I was a tap dancer, and I tried apologizing, but instead said I'm not looking for you. She looked so confused, and I could feel my face getting red. I literally ran out. Not just walked, quickly ran and slammed into the door. It's heavy and hurt my arm. Though injured, I trudged on. I heard her call out and ask if I was okay as I ran out. Now I can never go back. Oh boy, my stomach is sinking as I recall this. I did this twice in 1 week, by the way. I went over to my friend's house, and when his dad opened the door and said, "Welcome," I replied with "Yes, welcome." 1 year of high school I didn't have anyone in my lunch period that I was friends with. So instead of making friends with the other kids there, I'd eat really fast, then say I had to go study in the library, and would instead just wander around the halls until lunch was over. Except you weren't allowed to roam the halls like that, so I had to sneak around to avoid any teachers/hall monitors seeing me. I spent a lot of that time going from bathroom to bathroom, kind of just standing there waiting for time to pass. I was picking up my little sister from school, and I didn't have anything better to do, and I didn't want her to have to wait on the long car line, so I got there 40 minutes early. About 5 minutes before school let out, she told me she was going home with a friend. I was so scared that the people behind me in line would think I was creepy if I just left the line after all that time, so I pretended to be on the phone, got out of my car, and rummaged through my trunk while acting like I was angry at the person on the other end of the call, complete with annoyed arm movements and all, then got back in and drove off. When I was about 11, I stood in a room with my mom and her employees after an office Thanksgiving luncheon. They were chatting away about various things and we were all snacking. I took a bite of turkey, and as I went to swallow it, it lodged in my throat. I kept swallowing as hard as I could, but it wouldn't budge, and I couldn't breathe. I didn't have a drink near me either. So, I stood there attempting to get it down, while giving no indication that I was literally choking on my food. Because I didn't want to interrupt the conversation or draw attention to myself. My vision was starting to black on the edges, and I was full on panicking inside when I finally got it swallowed down. I remember breathing heavy through my nose and my eyes watering, thinking how stupid I just was, but now I definitely couldn't say anything about it. Sometimes it feels like anxiety will kill you. Sometimes it almost does. This guy was selling keychains on the street. He made them himself, and as I was buying one he was telling me how he got over his alcoholism by going to this center where he learned to make said keychains. After the transaction was finished he said thank you, bye, and I replied cheers while doing the cheers gesture. Called my dad to pick me up from high school instead of pooping at school. After work, I decide to get a beer at a bar. I teach night classes on a side of town I'm not used to, so I go into random sports bar and I sit alone. I do not watch most sports. Later, me, in my mind, it's getting late. I should go home. Random guy, hey, this Texans game is good. Can't believe something football-y happened. Me, pretending to know football stuff. Yeah, these dudes are dope. The Texans are in for some trouble if they mess up. Guy, finally, someone on my side. The guy buys me beer. We are now best friends. Turns out we are the only fans of whatever the other team is in this bar. We bond over our outsider status. I have no idea what to say, and as the night goes on, he keeps buying beer. I have pretended to like football for too long to come clean now. I end up watching the whole game. Our team lost. I didn't get home until midnight. Was at a picnic with some friends, 10 to 15 people, turned into like 50 to 75 people within an hour. Enter extreme anxiety. Went up to grill to get hot dog. Cute girl walks behind me to get one. Notice and start sweating. Barbecue homie hands me my hot dog. So nervous I drop it right onto the cement. Didn't know to get another one, so picked it up with dirt all over it. Took a bite and walked away. Added bonus, a bush I'm really allergic to was nearby, so the next week I had an allergic reaction all over my body from it. Good times with my pal social anxiety. Living with roommates at the time, I was in my bedroom and had to pee really bad, but they were having a bit of a party. I decided to stay hidden in my bedroom and pee in an empty water bottle so I didn't have to interact with people on my way to the washroom.